A newborn is crying against its mother's chest. A second child is hungry, but too young to dig up tough roots, crack hard foods, or safely wander away alone. The mother cannot feed both children at the same time. Then an older woman walks back into camp carrying food. She is no longer having babies of her own, but she gives the older child what the mother cannot. That ordinary-looking handoff may have helped humans evolve something extraordinary, a much longer life. The idea is called the grandmother hypothesis, and its claim is bigger than grandmothers helped with the kids. It suggests that once older women could improve the survival of grandchildren, natural selection had a reason to keep human bodies working long after reproduction ended. In other words, grandmothers may not simply have lived longer, their usefulness may have helped make longer life evolve. That would mean the gray-haired woman at the edge of camp was not an evolutionary leftover. She may have been one of the reasons the group could keep producing children faster without losing the ones already born. The problem begins with human childhood. A young chimpanzee remains dependent on its mother, but it gradually becomes capable of finding more of its own food. Human children take much longer to become useful foragers. Our brains develop slowly, our survival skills take years to learn, and being old enough to walk does not mean being old enough to feed yourself. A child can stand beside an edible plant without recognizing it, lack the strength to dig it out, and then announce that the entire world contains no food. That creates an evolutionary scheduling problem. Human mothers can have another baby, while older children still require enormous amounts of food, protection, and teaching. Compared with other great apes, humans can raise several dependent children whose needs overlap. One adult mother is suddenly responsible for a newborn, a recently weaned child, and perhaps an older child who is still nowhere near independent. Someone has to cover the gap. In many human communities, older relatives have done exactly that. Observations among Hadza foragers helped inspire the modern grandmother hypothesis. Older women could gather difficult foods that small children could not obtain efficiently themselves. When a daughter was occupied with a nursing infant, an older woman's work could help feed the children who had already been weaned. That means the grandmother was not merely watching them, she was turning knowledge, strength, and time into calories. And calories can change a family's entire reproductive schedule. A mother who receives help feeding an older child may be able to invest in a new baby sooner without leaving the previous child unsupported. The older child eats. The infant keeps the mother's attention. The mother gains another capable provider, and the grandmother gains something evolution can reward: more surviving descendants. A grandmother shares roughly 1/4 of her genes with each grandchild. She does not need to produce another baby herself for traits that help her descendants to spread. If women who remained healthy and productive for longer consistently helped more grandchildren survive, genes associated with slower aging could gain an advantage. Now repeat that process for thousands of generations. Longer life stops being useless time after reproduction. It becomes part of the family's survival system. Some mathematical models show that grandmother help could push an ape-like population toward a much longer human-like adult lifespan. In those models, older women help support weaned children, mothers have their next baby sooner, and selection gradually favors adults who survive long enough to provide that help. It is an elegant explanation, but models are not fossils, and not every model agrees. Some researchers have found that grandmother benefits may be too weak by themselves to explain the full difference between ape and human longevity. The evidence from real families is also mixed. In some historical and traditional populations, children survived more often or mothers reproduced more successfully when particular grandmothers were alive and nearby. In others, the advantage was small, absent, or dependent on which grandmother was present. Distance matters. Health matters. Food availability matters. Family relationships matter. An older relative can provide resources, but she can also require care or compete for the same resources. Grandmother alive is not automatically the same as grandmother helping. That uncertainty does not kill the idea. It makes the real claim more interesting. Grandmothers may not have single-handedly created human longevity. They may have helped turn longevity into something evolution could use. Once adults survived into later life, they could contribute more than food. An older person might remember where water remained during the worst drought, which plants became poisonous in a certain season, when animals migrated, how to treat a familiar injury, or how a conflict had been settled years earlier. Younger adults can be stronger and faster, but they cannot remember an event that happened before they were born. A group containing decades of living memory may survive a rare disaster that would destroy a group made only of the young. Longer life allows knowledge to accumulate instead of disappearing every generation. Grandchildren inherit calories, protection, skills, stories, and warnings from people who have already survived the mistakes they are about to make. But then scientists found something that complicated the whole story. Researchers studying wild chimpanzees in the Ngogo community of Uganda documented females living for substantial periods after reproduction ended, along with hormonal evidence of menopause. These older chimpanzees were not known for regularly feeding grandchildren the way human grandmothers may have done. That means menopause and post-reproductive survival cannot automatically be treated as proof of grandmothering. Favorable local conditions, reproductive competition, shared ancestral biology, and other evolutionary forces may also matter. So, did grandmothers make humans live longer? The most honest answer is that they may have helped, possibly a great deal, but they were probably not working alone. Fathers, siblings, aunts, unrelated helpers, shared food, valuable knowledge, and reduced reproductive conflict may all have contributed to the unusual human pattern. The deeper human advantage was cooperative childrearing. Mothers did not always have to carry the full cost of raising slow-growing children by themselves. Grandmothers may not have invented old age. They may have helped make old age valuable. And once an extra decade of life could feed grandchildren, protect them, and teach them what the group already knew, that decade was no longer invisible to evolution. The next time someone says a grandmother is spoiling the grandchildren, remember that the habit may be older than civilization. It may even be one reason humans live long enough to become grandparents at all.